on drugs or anything. Okay, I am opposed to drugs, but he's got to take his over the top enthusiasm, let's say, in prayer to God and not lay it on the public because we can't handle it. It freaks everybody out. It freaks his ardent supporters out, and it freaks out his detractors. It freaks out those that he exposes, that he doesn't, he does say he hates a lot of people, and I've always been against that. And I think it's taken a lot to teach, and this is a very tough moment in history for America at large, for all Americans. I'm having a really hard time, Mr. Jones. I mean, if I was talking to Alex, I'd say, listen, brother, I absolutely want the best for you, man. I want you to walk the straight and narrow. Keep your cool. You're incredibly articulate. You've got your repertoire of words is incredible. For your age. I mean, you've taught me a boatload and everybody else, and you've stood up against the evil status quo establishment that just wants to shove the lies about 9/11 down our throats and get us to all accept this and just time to move along here. And I'm glad. I mean, it's so important to bring these issues up. The fact that just exposing that the fact that evil does go on right under our nose. And I'm a big supporter of that. My dad was a big supporter of that. There is evil. There are black hats in the government. So what? We all know that. But we need to thank God for the white hats. But, this idea that you're not making it very clear to the public when it comes to understanding economics, that, this crony capitalism, just making sure that everybody knows which side you're on here. That, yes, okay, we're going to talk about revisiting 2008. Let's go. You need to be zealous for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about economics. And how this has caused this socialistic sympathy in our land is the crony capitalism. That's by design. These people are deviants. They're derelict. They're diabolical. Okay, that's like their religion, man. Is just being cunning and deceitful and underhanded and stealthy and clandestine and surreptitious and just occult, just hidden. I mean, they just don't want people to really understand that it's a tiny itty bitty fraction of a percent at the very top controlling things. But they do have a lot of minions that are sycophantic, yes, just drooling zombie-like puppets of the puppet masters that go along. I mean, and then it goes on from there. And, they just need a critical mass to say it's in my interest to go along, go with the flow, the path of least resistance. So this is what's driving the system, and it's got to break, man. I mean, we're all in this thing together. But, it's just understanding how bad crony capitalism is because it's doing this. It's creating fascism. When the government, okay, and that's what's going on here. And just because I'm not condemning everybody in the government. I'm just saying, look, we got to admit this is going on. That there's people that, yes, they would manipulate housing costs. Okay, and what is the effect of that? We'll say, well, it's just housing costs. So what? Let them manipulate. All these special interest groups, well, it's creating jobs and they get better pay. The lenders get more money, and the the tax assessor's office gets more money, and the teachers and schools get more money, and the firemen and the police, right? We all understand it's good. Higher tax is good. But we never have the discussion about what's happening to the worth of your currency, how this is currency debasement, how it's a scale. If your cost of living goes up, it's like an arm that connects. It just automatically, the worth of your currency goes down. It cannot do anything else. And how it causes this really negative chain reaction where everybody's trying to keep their head above water. And then you've got the Labor Department that's profoundly remiss, deliberately remiss. And I got here locally here, we got a coach that's blaming minimum wage. First thing out of his mouth when he's being interviewed about this local baseball, it was like a league they had of different baseball teams. He's blaming minimum wage going up. This is what's bringing it down. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, but if you could do the math with me, if we could have some logic here, whenever people want to talk about minimum wage, they've opened up the way for an economic discussion. This is what it is. So you can't just, give your opinion about something without doing the math, without logic and reason and truth injected into the conversation. That's all I'm trying to do here, and that's all I want Alex Jones to do. I want him to be honest and admit what the implications of true capitalism in 2008 being played out would have been, what that would have looked like, what the suggestion is here. What am I trying to say? Okay, we wouldn't have had a little minor correction. We would have had a profound correction because a profound amount of money was dumped on the housing market because lenders were given the green light. They were told it's okay, it's safe, you can do it, you're insured, so don't worry. And so they said, okay, this is reckless lending, I know, but my boss said this and I have faith in my boss. And so all these banksters went along with it. And we all knew this is the cause of all these foreclosures, all the liar loans and all this that were given out. So they just recklessly, haphazardly, deliberately dumped all this money on the market, blew the pipes out of the economy. And of course there should have been a day of reckoning, and that was it. But instead, these sycophantic, no good for nothing, pissant politicians who just give themselves a cost of living adjustment for doing an abysmal job for the public, being, they're supposed to be our servants, so they don't care about debasing the currency. They say, let the cost of living inflation increase stand, because that's what the net effect was of dumping all that money on the housing market. Do you understand? And then the Labor Department doesn't do anything to say, hey, you know what? We're protecting the rights of the workers so we don't have slavery, legalized here, validated, legitimized by not giving commensurate cost of living adjustments. Because mathematically speaking, if we don't give commensurate cost of living adjustments, there's no difference in getting a pay decrease, right? Duh, a child can understand this math I'm saying. Nobody can deny the truths of what I'm trying to convey here. Nobody, unless you're a liar or you have to be a blithering idiot. So pick it, choose, but you're going to stand not before me someday. You're going to stand before the one that owns you, that loves you in a way I can't never begin to understand. But I've got to warn you, man, you got to be somebody, you got to have substance. Where are you going to go from here? What are you going to deserve to have? What kind of a world are you going to be found worthy to go to from here? If you're that loving of money that you care about it more than human beings and being ethical, valuing your conscience, your integrity, your honor, your reputation, your soul, for God's sake, your soul is on the line here. This is about salvation, this economic discussion I'm having with everybody here. We got to get real, man. We're going to extricate ourselves, man. You got to understand the devil's in the details. You're extricating yourselves from the maw of Satan. That's what you're doing here by listening to a clown like me, who's just everybody's friend, man. That's how I contend. That's how I cope. I would set the captives free, 100% free. Yeah, in short order. Yeah, it'd be traumatic. I wanted it to happen gradually through true capitalism, but they haven't allowed that to happen. I don't know when this thing's going to come to an end. It's kind of like a big fat car hitting a big thick wall, that the people in the front, they're dead first. That's what's happening. These evildoers like you to believe, well, it'll all work itself out, come out in the wash through attrition, right? So we'll let the weak die. The dead wood will fall off the tree by itself. Yet in the meantime, there's more and more dead wood. It's like a snake eating its tail. Eventually, if it could eat its tail, it'd kill itself anyhow. So this thing can't work in perpetuity. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a pyramid scheme. It was bound to failure from the beginning. It's a bandwagon that all these people are on. They're going to ride it till the wheels are falling off because they believe it's in their own self-interest to ride this thing out. And they're going to come out on top because that's what they believe, their peers believe, and their masters are the ones that are giving them that message that this is right, this is abandoned conscience, it's not going to pay your bills, you need money, you don't need a conscience. That's what they're telling you. So, I'm ready to do the math with you to prove that the Labor Department has not only been profoundly remiss, but deliberately remiss. There's no way these people with these university degrees in there could not understand the things I'm talking to you about. You understand? The things that a child can understand. It's only fair if every year minimum wage was adjusted and the masters, the employers could have complained, should have complained. And then you get to the bottom of it. Who's manipulating markets? Who's fixing prices? So that's who you blame. You don't blame the worker who's just trying to stay even Steven at least, even if he doesn't get any improvements, even if there's no progress and his currency doesn't automatically increase just because the wealth of the nation is being shared, rightfully shared with him too. I mean, why should it be, what are you going to say, rightfully being withheld? We got to keep him hungry, got to keep him on his toes. Is that your, Victor Hugo? Or you see what I mean? So if the paradigm was one where we're all born, understood that we're free and wealthy, okay, then Victor Hugo's statement would have no effect. but in this current world it does. But the people you're hearing it from are the people that are well heeled. So again, yeah, one must question their motivation for talking about it.